Good evening, good evening, good evening, my circle of friends, my inner circle. Happy Saturday evening. It is about 6:16 p.m. Arizona time, and I'm coming to you to drop a little bit on you to think about as we progress into this full moon in Gemini tonight in about 2 hours or so Pacific time, 8:35 or so. We'll be technically in the full moon for Gemini. But before we do that, I certainly want to talk about the numerology digit of the day. Hi there, She Loves Words. And that is 8. Today is an 8 day. Okay? And 8 is signified by assertiveness, responsibility. It is authority, inner strength. It has to do with really being able to lead and execute, but at the same time, it needs balance. So if you envision the number 8, it is 2 circles. So there's wholeness, there's balance, and you put it on its side, it's the infinity symbol. So there's wholeness, there's balance. So this is a person that's a life path 8, or if we're talking about things that are associated with the numerology digit 8, it is strong, it has inner strength, it has power, it is a leadership type of energy, but at the same time it needs balance. It's learned the karmic lessons of many of the other numbers, and so it still needs that balance, and it understands diplomacy even though it has a lot of inner strength. There's a spiritual aspect to 8 also, in that it represents infinity and wholeness and balance. So it's really appropriate for this to be an 8 day as we're progressing into a full moon in Gemini, because 8 also represents like a karmic regulator. It is about regulating cycles of life and death and rebirth. And so we are experiencing something similar to that as we go into this full moon that's going to happen. Now, last week, I definitely took you through an affirmation that I thought was appropriate for the time, but it gave you a head start, okay? So you had a week in advance to be able to symbolically burn the bridges behind you and move through this wormhole or walk over this bridge that takes you into the new truth of who you are, this new avatar that you are going to be locking in tonight, right? So last week was like a practice run, okay, and just a symbolic movement, but now we're going to lock in the new avatar, our story, okay? This Gemini full moon is about shifting our narrative, shifting the story that we tell ourselves about ourselves, okay? And so it's Gemini represents your thoughts, your perceptions, the story that you tell, the communication. And so that's a very integral aspect of who we are as human beings. We communicate, and we perceive life, and we perceive things a particular way, and so this Gemini full moon is an opportunity for you to completely shift that story that you tell yourself about yourself. This is an opportunity, and for many people, this is the first time in our lives that we are given the opportunity to rewrite our story. This moment in time, in history, is typically going to be the first time we've ever had the clarity and ever have been brought to a point to completely rewrite our story, rewrite our narrative, retell the story of who we are, not based on the trauma, not based on the challenges and the obstacles and the wounds, but based on who we were when we first got here. So based on our authentic selves that are now re-emerging from the morass of shadow, from the morass and the muck of trauma. So we have been given this opportunity to completely rewrite things. And as we did last week, as we symbolically did that affirmation where we let go of old patterns and we espoused and are looking forward to embodying and becoming a new person based on a new truth from the authenticity that we derived from Scorpio season and now the truth of the Sagittarius season. We are now seriously about to lock in this new avatar. We're about to lock it in, okay? And it's something is telling me to say this. I actually wasn't going to say it. But in terms of the number 8 and karmic regulation, the work that you're supposed to have done, and I think most people are doing it, especially people that are tuning into me, there's work that you are supposed to do to cycle out trauma, cycle out negative or shadow energies that have been lodged in your body. Okay, so this is spiritual, this is energetic, but it becomes physical. The inner world is the predecessor of the outer world. So your outer world is your body. So if you are not cycling out those things that you're supposed to cycle out and evolve up and move through, if you don't move through it, you're going to be cycled out. If you don't move the karmic issues out of you, cycle them out of you at the time that you're supposed to do it, your body, if that stuff is lodged in your body's going to have to be cycled out, and you're going to transition and leave and come back and resume later. I didn't want to say that. Oops, I said it. Okay, so this is an important time. All right, so tonight is a night that you want to really set intentions and begin to visualize and envision yourself really being that person that you know you are on the inside. It's time to let that shine and actually walk into that. Okay, you know the saying says fake it till you make it. So we were faking it last week, right? We symbolically went through that. We spoke it, and now it's time to actually do it. So you've been given a week to practice. Okay, and so now you are actually going to embrace mentally, emotionally, and physically what you symbolically spoke last week, what you symbolically put into action and motion last week. Now you are really about to do it. Okay, you are really becoming it during this Gemini full moon. So there are some tips that I want to give you, so that once this full moon is over, once you have walked into the reality of this new avatar that you are, there are some tips that I want to bring back to your remembrance, some things that I've talked to you about before, but bear repeating, okay? So as we move past this full moon, these are some of the tips of awareness that I think you need to really hold on to, make a mental note of. All right, number 1. Begin to practice seeing your environment, okay, as a gift that is delivering to you an accurate picture of what's on the inside. When you interact with people and interact with your environment and interact with people in situations and circumstances, try to catch yourself thinking that it's about that external thing, about that other person. It's all about you. It's just a mirror. It is a printout of what's going on the inside of you, okay? So practice bringing that back to your remembrance. Practice reminding yourself, oh, this is actually about me. This interaction I'm having, this altercation, this triggering, this thing the person said that bothered me. It's not about them. They are a gift from the gods. They are a gift from the Creator to show me what's happening on the inside. That is how you have to begin to see life, people, as we move on the other side of this Gemini full moon. We are really, really doing this thing. So it's time to see this not as someone who is, you know, a person that's new to this, but someone who's been studying, life, someone who is now more aware of what's truly going on. The next thing is these impressions and these interactions. Remember, it's not about the other person. So you want to begin to remember that when you're about to react, pause, take a breath, and think more about responding appropriately to what is happening, okay? If at all. Because oftentimes a response or a reaction is not even warranted. It's just oftentimes you just need to just observe what's happening and make a mental note. And if you need to go make an inner adjustment, with regard to what you just experienced, maybe you need to do that. For example, if you are interacting with someone and you get triggered, the trigger means that you're about to react and you're about to defend yourself and you're about to try to be right. Instead of doing that, inside, thank that person for showing you a part of you that is still needing healing, a part of you that still needs to be worked on, because your interactions are really not about that other person. I'll say it again. Your interactions are not about that other person. They're really about you and what's going on inside you and what remains to be healed. Okay? And so what you do is you have this checklist. Okay, this is what I do. When I'm having interactions, I'm resonating with someone, because that's why they're in front of me. That's why we're talking, because I've resonated with some aspect of them and they're resonating with me. I can go through my checklist and I can check off and say, yes, that's confirmation. That's I can verify that is me. That is something that's a part of me. Yeah, that's something I recognize. Or I can look at the list and say, I don't really like that. That is irritating me. I'm going to have to take a moment to go in to make an inner adjustment so that is not something that's glaring back at me. And when I look in the mirror, because this person is a mirror, when I look in the mirror, I'm not going to grimace and be like, what is that? Because it's you. That's who it is. Okay? So you have to either check the list saying confirmation, verification, yeah, that's me, or check the list and say, oh, I don't like that, let me make an adjustment, or check the list and say, yeah, I love this part of me. This person is showing me a part of me that I love. I celebrate this part of me. It's so great for this person to be around because they remind me of how awesome I am. And that is those are the types of interactions and the type of thoughts about those interactions you should be having, because it's really all about you. And it's not in an egoistic way that it is. It's more about learning and realizing at a higher level, on a higher plane, and in parallel to your higher self, that everything in nature, everything that I'm experiencing in this world is a gift from the Creator to show me what's happening inside of me, because all in all, this is about oneness. The last thing I want to say, I wasn't going to say this either. Oh my God. Those of you who know astrology, those of you who have a grasp of it, when you find yourself judging someone and making an inner judgment or critique of that person, if you happen to know, their constellation in terms of, their rising, their moon, their sun, if there's something about them that you're judging, remember, you're judging that aspect of yourself. So go into your own natal chart and find those placements and see what parts of yourself you're judging. Because it's you. You're doing that. And if you need to make adjustments, make those adjustments. But again, the Creator is just showing you yourself. Okay? The other thing I want to say is we have gone through tests of integrity and authenticity this year. Okay? And you have passed or you didn't pass, or there's some degree of progress that you've made. Make room for authenticity as you move forward with your life in your new avatar. Do not go back to old ways of pushing down who you really are, or putting it under the rug, or like, I don't have to talk about that right now, or I don't have to be that person right now. No, you have to be that person right now and forever. You have to be who you really are. It's time out for like situational personalities where you change based on who's around. You have to really be yourself, because if you push down your authenticity, if you try to hide it, it's going to pop up when you don't expect it. It's going to pop up at inopportune times, and it's going to embarrass you, and it's going to cause you to have to go back to the drawing board so that you actually are integrating it properly into your personality. So what am I saying? I'm saying do not push down your authenticity. Make room, build room for your authenticity to be a part of who you are. Your authenticity and your truth they are now integral aspects of your avatar, of your personality, of this person that you are. And we all need you to be the authentic you so that we can continue to evolve as a human collective. Okay? All right. So I think that's everything I wanted to say. All right? This is about shifting the narrative And you're shifting the narrative to the story of who you were meant to be. Shift the narrative to the story of who you were meant to be. You now have an opportunity to be who you were meant to be. This is a time, seize this opportunity, envision yourself being, embodying, walking forth as that avatar of who you really are, the blueprint of who you were supposed to be from the get-go, from the very beginning, before all the trauma. Okay, I think I did mention last week that I feel like I'm 12 again, because I feel that that innocent personality I had that had been beaten down by peer pressure, had been beaten down by people who did not approve of how I communicated or how I carried myself or the things I said. I have cycled all of that away. That's all gone, or most of it that I'm aware of, that I'm conscious of. All that is out of my way, and now I'm free to just really be who I am. And symbolically, to make it lock in, I actually am changing my name. I'm going to use my middle name now to introduce myself and to symbolize the newness of this avatar. And I'm taking Ernest, my inner child, and I'm retiring him. And he did well. Now I'm taking care of him. I'm going to sit him over here and take care of him, make sure he's okay. But the new person that I am, who my closest friends, they know who that name is, that is who I am now. And whatever you need to do symbolically to lock in this new avatar and this new person, this new essence of truth that you've become, do it. Because your life is going to require it, and the people in your circle are going to need it, and the human collective, it really needs you to be who you really are. Okay? That's all I have for today. Again, shift the narrative to the story of who you were meant to be. Have a great evening. Have a great Gemini full moon. Enjoy this weekend, and I will talk to you next week. This has been episode 51. Good night.